Hello everyone and welcome back to Project Ozone 3, Mythic mode. In the last episode we fully automated the production of chaos catalysts. Looks like we're up to 1700 of that, which is great. We also went ahead and got ourselves a couple more creative items, and while I did also craft the rest of the creative modifiers in between the episodes, it wasn't actually that bad. The only painful part was putting the life essence buckets in. Anyways, the first order of business today is to craft the rest of the creative generators we're missing, and the rest of the infinite energies for magnetic craft. Now we go back to crafting this guy, and there's exactly 29 of those. I definitely don't want to craft more than I need to of these guys because they need chaos ingots. Anyways, with that out of the way, let's get on to today's episode. Today the goal is going to be kind of insane, but I think we can achieve it, and that's going to be crafting at least one chaos plank. I know the recipe looks horrible, and that's because it absolutely is. I mean, all we need to do is encode a bunch of these recipes for all these random singularities, and after that all the other stuff is pretty easy actually. Obviously we're still missing a couple of creative items here, but I mean we should be able to quickly craft those up right now. Well, I guess first of all I should try and fill out the recipe as much as I can, and then we'll actually come back and deal with all the other garbage. Yeah, let me see what I can do here already. Oh, and looks like I need a final star shard. It has EMC, but I have to craft all the Klein stars now. Okay, well actually that wasn't that bad. There we go. 400 trillion EMC each. That's kind of crazy. And then the star shard itself is even worse. Anyways, we need a stack of that. Thank you very much. Looks like we also need the maximum compact machine. I mean, I guess that's not bad, but that does mean we're gonna have to set up one of these projectors. Yeah, that's a weird recipe. What is that block? I think that's just the chiseled cobblestone. Cool, alright. Cool, and then we need to place a block of nickel, redstone, and then throw a piece of redstone. And there's our, these things. Wait, the recipe only makes 8 at a time? Well, I was gonna craft them manually, but, that's absolutely way too garbage. We're just gonna animate it. Alright, cool, and now with a bit of a 5x5 structure, we'll want a crystalline pink slime block in the middle. Cool, and now we just throw an ender pearl. Wow, that noise is obnoxious, but I think... There we go. And now we don't need this setup ever again. And don't you worry, we can certainly place this down and animate it. So now I just gotta get enough of that. What? Oh man, I have to upgrade this stuff to Draconic tier. That's the last thing I wanted to do today. God damn it. Can we make a stack of these energy relay crystals, please? Awesome. All right. Now I continue working on getting the rest of the stuff, which looks like I need to get an elytra now. That's awesome. To be fair, though, with our insane flight speed, this should not be a problem at all. Cool, and the elytras have EMC. Alright, and with that, I've done as much as I can of the chaos plank as possible. And when you look at it like this, it doesn't seem like we're missing much. But remember, this is still 3 more creative items, and then all of these random metals, and each of them needs some very weird singularities here, and like other garbage. So yeah, it's not really going to be that easy, but you know. Anyways, along with the ingots, I've gone ahead and pinned all the other stuff that we're still missing. And I guess let's start with this blood orb. It's super simple, as long as we can upgrade our blood altar to tier 6. Now for that to happen, it looks like we're missing just some runes and the crystal cluster. That's not too bad. This is a block also, so we can definitely animate it, and I'm just gonna get a couple here. And I guess I might as well also upgrade the other altar while I'm at it. We obviously want to keep the symmetry with the setup, so... Alright, now all we need is an input of a cluster. I still can't say that word, but in a little bit it should get us our blood orb, right? And don't worry, these are not consumed in the recipe. At least I'm pretty sure they're not. Ooh, there we go. There's our first one. And here's the second one. Next up, I want to deal with this Oblivion Death Bomb. We're actually not missing much of this. I just need to get another Oblivion Catalyst. Hello, my sacrifice. Cool, alright. And that combined with an antimatter bucket, which I already had, and a Corallium bucket, which I needed to go get, gets us the death bomb itself. Now here's the thing, right? We're gonna need almost a stack of these, which means almost a stack of Oblivion Catalysts. But also, I believe we can place this down and animate it. Oh, I am so glad that works. Alright. Actually, speaking of which, I think I did actually find a list of things that we cannot animate with the wand. I'll display it on screen right now if I can find it in the Discord again. And that does mean that anything that isn't in that list forest and that we can place down is animatable. So yeah, that's just kind of a nice bit of information to know. All right, now next up, we're gonna need a bunch of these spawn eggs, and it looks like they all spawn in different dimensions. The first one is in the Twilight Forest, the Maze Cube. I'm obviously gonna be using a mob swab to actually get the spawn egg, and I should only need one swab of each mob. Aha, here's one of those mazes. Ooh, there we go. I found one. Hey, the next mob forest is gonna be this guy right here, the Skeleton Goliath. That was easy. And the last mob is gonna be in the Erebus. I just need to figure out where they actually spawn. Aha, okay, this is the biome, the fungal forest. And now I just need to find, oh, these things right here. Awesome, all right. Now, the reason I only got one swab of these is, as I'm sure you guys remember, I was gonna say that we can get infinite spawn eggs, but yeah, that chicken is still locked onto Alpha Yetis. So I guess let's get some more chickens here. I'm pretty sure that's a bug right there, which is why it works so weirdly, but I think all I need to do is flick the lever here, and then like that. Oh yeah, there we go. Yeah, no, that works. Okay, let's try this again. The imprisonment tool goes in first. We feed them and then spawn some more. Okay, there we go. And I think this chicken spawn egg is forever locked now to spawning more crush room spawn eggs. Okay, and now with that done, let me take a moment here to decide how we're going to move forward in creating these random metals here. And then we'll start thinking about crafting the rest of these creatives. Ooh, and I'm just remembering, we're going to need to also deal with infinite chaos baubles. Anyways, yeah, give me a moment here to think about that, and then we'll be right back. So it's been a little bit of time later, and I decided to just go ahead and encode all the metals as a pattern, and that way we should easily be able to tell what we're missing, which looks to me like it's pretty much everything here. Although that doesn't make sense. I only encoded the actual ingots itself, and not all these like singularities. Anyways, let me now encode these singularities. First one looks like it's just cherry, which yeah, we already have. So it's such a weird amount, 13,099 items for each one. Okay, I don't know how I did it, but I got it to the correct amount. Just have to reset the output, and now we put that in the quantum compressor. I also did notice that we're gonna have to switch the catalyst, even though this one has the same name, but whatever. Anyways, yeah, let's try and request one of these now. And yep, the drawer is full, although that is still quite slow, I'm not gonna lie. Anyways, let me now try and encode all the other singularities. All I gotta do is triple the recipe until it's at 6,000, and then I double it once. It's still at 121 though, so we just lower it down a little bit, and there you go. Oh yeah, and reset the output back to 1. There's like 36 singularities in total that I need to encode, and it's gonna be very boring, so let me do that real quick, and then we'll be right back. All right, nice. We have all the patterns now. Now comes the part where we check out what we're missing. We need 58 of all of these ingots, and it looks like for the first one, okay, just draconium seeds and mana glass. Cazadorian metal, we're missing a little bit more. Oh, actually, wait, no, we can take off green dye and crushed quartz. There's one singularity here that needs 700,000 industrial chassis, yeah. And yeah, the dye blend has EMC, so it should be fine. Other than that, the rest of the stuff should be easy to set up. So let's move on to the next ingot. This is the one where ectoplasms come into play. The rest of the garbage though, it should be easy enough to do that. So let's move on to the last metal. Okay, crystal matrix, I actually already have a second drawer on that. Tar, we're gonna have to deal with. Eggplants we have to deal with, and then the chaos baubles. So all in all, we're not missing that much. Matter of fact, let me quickly get rid of all the EMC items. They're obviously not that big of a deal. And after that, this is all the stuff that we still have left. We'll start off with eggplants, literally just a crop that I'll have to 10-10-10. And we'll plant these in our mystical agriculture area because I want to send these outputs into a barrel. And I imagine I should also remove these lily pads of fertility. They're not as good as the time block, and I'm assuming they hurt the TPS quite a bit. Cool, now that's a decent rate of eggplants. Next up, I want to do the tar, which has a pretty good recipe here in the fractionating still. It's a 75% chance to get one if we use liquefacted coal, and obviously we can just creative tank that. I'm gonna place the stills in this wall. I have 32, but yeah, as I suspected, this wall is not big enough for all of them. And for the inputs and outputs, we're gonna use more lasers. Alright, so I went ahead and set up the machines a little bit more, gave them some upgrades, and I also gave them these augments. So we have one auxiliary sieve, which increases the chance of a secondary product, in this case our tar, which I'm hoping this means now it's going to be 100% chance. Anyways, we'll have our creative tank and the laser. This is going to be out of the adjacent blocks, and so now that should let these things work, yes. And then we also want to trash all the naphtha, so I'm going to grab a bucket of that and filter it into the trash can. We'll set this to be only into adjacent blocks. And last but not least, we stick a barrel over here, I guess, for all of the outputs, like so. It looks like we're getting like one every tick or so, which is a little bit insane. I didn't think this setup would be that fast. What? But I'll take it. Anyways, we need to hook this up with a storage bus to our ME system, of course. With the tar out of the way, next up I want to do these chisel things. So I made myself here a little setup with auto chisels, and the drawers are already hooked up to the system. The inputs have to be from the top, so that's exactly what we have, and then the outputs can be from the bottom. Oh yeah, and we need to also supply some chisels to this, so there's another EMC link for that. It should also also be inserted on the bottom? Actually, no, apparently not. Yeah, okay, in that case, I have to input from the side then, which does mean this flux duct has to go. To power the chisels, I wanted to go with draconic energy crystals because I don't really have any sides left for power input. You just place down an IO crystal on the power source, connect that to an energy crystal, and then you connect the machines from there. Next up was Aurora blocks. Didn't actually take too long to find. Aha, there we go. It's just in the ice biome in the Twilight Forest. At this point, I also remembered about an amazing tip from the amphibian himself for fixing the resin farm, and it works flawlessly now. Okay, so we're back a little bit later, and as you saw in that time-lapse, or voiceover, or whatever I decided to do, I sorted out a couple more items like the Chisel Tyrian. We're already up to 100,000 of that, that's great. And the factory blocks too. And I set up the Aurora blocks, which we get around the same rate as the ectoplasms. But of course, we only need 700,000 of that and not 8 million, so it shouldn't take a while. I also decided to fix the tree resin issue, and it's a lot better than what we were doing before. It actually works. I'm just having trouble connecting it to the system again, because these lasers are being stupid again. Okay, whatever, one more storage bus can't hurt. I'll attach a laser when it decides to start working again, but anyways, there's actually a different reason why I'm at the farming area, and that's because the next singularity needs us to make draconium seeds. Don't really know where I can fit that nicely. Well, let me think about something here and then we'll be back. And there we have it. The draconium seeds are now fully automated. I'm not gonna lie, I ripped this design out of somebody else's playthrough since I didn't really know how you could possibly automate these. But turns out it was super simple. You just use the AgriCraft crop spreading to your advantage. And so what we have here is 4 different plots. They're the exact same with mechanical users that have crop sticks in them. They place down the crop sticks actually 2 blocks in front of them and not on this block. This block right here doesn't get changed. This is what spreads the draconium seed onto the farmland. And then the mechanical user on top here is set to left click and it breaks the crop stick, which then collects the draconium seed and also some extra crop sticks. We're sending those through an ender chest, and then over here we're trashing the draconium essence and crop sticks that we get and storing the actual seed in a barrel, which is actually connected to the system via this laser. Even though it looks like it's connected to the item interface, cool thing about lasers is that they connect to every block surrounding them. So yeah, we kind of get to keep the symmetry with this. Anyways, as you can see, the rate of the seeds is actually not that bad. It'll be done sooner than some of the other items, so I'm not worried about it. Anyway, so now with that done, we actually only have a couple more things to do. All we need to do is get the rest of the creative items, get a couple hundred of these vials from Britannia. Let's see, we need almost 500, and then automate the infinite chaos bauble. Let's start off with the vials. All we're gonna need is a botanical brewery, and I'm guessing I can probably just hopper in the items. Okay, I have an EMC link here, but it doesn't seem like we're getting any items in there. Oh wait, I just figured it out. You're supposed to drop the items on top, and you have to drop in the vial before you can drop all the ingredients in. And I think this also needs some mana, so we'll place it here. Get a mana spreader, and that should be good. All right, now, of course, because we have to drop the items in order, our friend the Impulse Hopper is going to be great for this. Aha, there we go. Ooh, and it does give out a redstone signal whenever it's crafting, so we can actually use that to automate this a little bit. Yeah, so let me figure out something really quickly here, and then we'll be right back. Well, there you go. That wasn't that difficult. All we have is the EMC link that goes into the Impulse Hopper. We also have an entity detector that disables the hopper with this redstone signal. This hopper is the one that obviously puts stuff in the crate to be dropped. But yeah, we disable it on 2 signals. If there is already something that's crafting, it disables. And if there's an entity on the ground, it also disables. And that seems to make it work pretty consistently. Then, of course, we have our output drawer, which is obviously has a collector on top. I'm gonna let that run for a little bit. It obviously doesn't need to be that fast. Now we have to deal with the infinite chaos bauble. We already have the 11th degree, and we also have prism. This is EMCable. The opinion cores are also EMCable. Now we just have to deal with all these weird buckets. And I'm gonna predict that we're gonna need lots of chemicals and random garbage. So I'm gonna get a bunch of creative tanks. That'll hopefully make this process a little bit easier. Alright, and after looking at the recipes for a little bit, I think these are the machines that I'm gonna need to batch craft these 2 nuclear craft liquids, the euctetic sodium potassium diamond mixture bucket, and the molten flipe salt solution of plutonium 239 fluoride bucket. So yeah, anyways, let me just start crafting this. Well, there's the euctetic nag thing. That actually wasn't too bad. Now we move on to the flipe solution. Okay, and there you have it. There's the 3 liquids out of 5 that we need. Now we just need heavy water, which is easy enough. We just need a filter upgrade for one of these mechanism pumps. Yep, there we go. We can grab that with a gauge dropper, and now we don't need this anymore. Obviously, let's creative tank it. So now we're just missing 2 things, the liquid chaos and a whole room full of DT fuel. Let's start off with the chaos, because that needs one of these multi-blocks, which is kind of crazy. Although, actually, no, it doesn't look that bad. Well, I was gonna cut back to whenever we had trouble in getting any of the materials for the multi-block, but this was literally so easy. We already have all the stuff. Now comes the tricky part. We have to actually build it, which is fine. I'm gonna use the preview. This is only temporary because we can just creative tank the chaos after we're done. So yeah, I don't really care about putting this in a permanent location. Ooh, I actually really like that color. Cool, so now we're just gonna have to gather up all the input fluids. Let's start off with Dew of the Void. I have a vat right here. And now we just need some nutrient distillation, which is whatever that is. Okay, there we go. And grains of vitality and grains of the end. That gets us the Dew. Throw that into an input hatch. And I guess while we're at it, let's throw in the other fluid, the heavy water. Now we're just missing HECM fuel that we then melt down. Although I'm missing something here. Is it the Curium 246? Yeah, okay, we're getting it. It's just that we're consuming it for some other fuel. Thankfully, because we have the one tiny clump, we can melt that down and creative tank it. Then I should have, yeah, a crystallizer right here. Or no, that's not where it goes. It goes in the ingot former. Okay, so yeah, this we can use to make more curium. Anyways, there's that nuclear craft fuel. Melt it down, tank it, and into the input hatch it goes. And now the last thing is empowered oil. All we're gonna need for this is a canola press. And with a little bit of power and canola, it gives us canola oil. We can then fractionating still that, or refined canola oil. We place that in world, and then we throw in crystallized canola. And then we throw in the empowered canola. And there we go. That was easy. So now that should be good. We should see this thing now start up. Yeah, there we go. And awesome. Now we can tear this thing down. Now, of course, we have to deal with the hull room, which has to be full of DT fuel. Aha, which does have a liquid version, so that's not going to be a problem. We just have to get the gas, which is tritium plus deuterium. And I should be able to electrolyze heavy water for both of those. Yeah, we get the nuclear craft version, but that's still good enough. Put those in the chemical infuser. Apparently, they're not accepted. What? Okay, fine. I guess I'll use the mechanism versions. So there's the deuterium. And the tritium just needs a solar neutron activator with an input of lithium, which goes somewhere. Okay, I realize it just has to be the gaseous version. Yep, there we go. There's our tritium. Okay, so now we put in both of those gases. There's our DT fuel. Now we make it into a liquid, and there's that done. Awesome. All right. We'll still need the condensator to actually make it back into gas once we have the hull rooms. And speaking of which, we obviously have to passive that. So for that, this little space in the wall over here doesn't actually seem like a bad idea. It's not going to be too many machines, just a sag mill and a metallurgic infuser. All we need to do is filter in gold blocks into the sag mill. Yep, so there's that, and then we just need some coal, which we can also input from the back. Okay, and there we go. I even gave it a tier installer just in case. Now we just have to fill them with the DT fuel, and now I'm just realizing I probably shouldn't have a drawer for the empty ones. So I guess I should be able to do something like this. Creative tank on top or on the side if it needs to be. Yeah, I think it does. Yep, there we go. The DT fuel is going in here. And if my understanding is correct, I should be able to just, yeah, put the whole room in that slot and it will get filled up. So then we filter this into the drawer. So let's have a few conduits here. Extract from the metallurgic infuser into the gas tank. Yep, that's filling the hull room. Okay, but it doesn't look like an auto output, so we just have to extract that on blue like so. And look at that. Awesome. All right. And so with that, now we have everything we need to start passively crafting the chaos baubles. Now this recipe is small enough for us to actually be able to fit the crafting cores that we're gonna need for this in this space over here. So that nicely finishes this room. Oh yeah, and for this setup, I kind of want to use 3 crafting cores because I really hate AFKing and I want this to go as fast as possible. So we'll run up a few conduits like so. Although this does pose the issue of distributing power around because I also need to access this block right here. And if I do the same thing at the bottom, then I can't power the middle one. Okay, in that case, having a 2-block gap between each core should be good enough. So I guess we'll have the power from the top and then the IO can be on the bottom. So now we need to think about filling up the buckets. I'm just going to use the fluid transposer for this. And yeah, we can have all the creative tanks on top. Nice, there we go. All right, now just so that I don't have to do a ton of filtering, I'm going to assign 1 channel per different bucket. Matter of fact, we'll do 1 separate channel per unique item, actually. And I guess by now you get the point. I'm going to filter in everything, finish the setup up, and then I'll bring you back. Look at what just showed up in the system. Oh my goodness. We're holding it. The infinite chaos bauble. Awesome. All right. So the setup is pretty much the exact same as you saw it. We filtered in everything and then I'm extracting everything back on red into the interface. The only thing that has changed is the way that we're supplying the hull rooms because for whatever reason, the MBT tag was just not being recognized by the interface. Anyways, I put a ender chest for it. And yeah, no, everything is working properly. We're getting the chaos baubles as you saw at a pretty decentish finish rate. So, you know, this thing will be done in no time at all. Just like how the Spectre coils will also be done in no time at all. If you remember, we need like 750,000 of these, and we're only missing 100,000 from that, which is not bad. That's like less than 1 million ectoplasm. So soon enough, I'll be able to finally turn this farm off. I think I'll give it one night of AFKing. It'll be nice since we're going to build up on the chaos bubbles, the catalysts, and literally everything else that we put on passive so far. Yeah, for like all the other singularities that we need. And speaking of which, actually, let me check back on you. Oh, we're at 800. Hold up. Yeah, we have plenty of potions. I just remembered this last minute. I do want to see if I can get at least one of each of the ingots. Oh, looks like I can get Berhuntian. And I can also get the Aristotelite. I'm just missing some more chaos bubbles. Cazadorian, can we get that? Yeah, chaos ingots. I just have to craft more of those. And Saignites, or whatever that says. Yeah, no, I can get one of each ingot, which would be nice to have just to fill in the pattern a little bit more. Anyways, enough talking. I'm gonna go AFK overnight, come back tomorrow. We'll start off by getting the rest of the creative items. And I think actually soon enough, we're gonna have our first chaos plank, which is kind of crazy. And then of course, we're gonna have to log the playtime for the first chaos plank. Anyways, yeah, no, let me actually go AFK now. Enough yapping. Oh my goodness, check this out. 730,000 Spectre coils and 2.1 million ectoplasm. Okay, so welcome back. It's the next day for me again. And I mean, all of the farms that we set up are pretty much done with all the resource generation that we're gonna need. We have 2.1 million draconium seeds, 5 million eggplants, 1.8 million tar. And if we look in this chest, yeah, there we go. We have the materials to create Cazadorian metal, which goes over here. You'll also notice that I made one of each of the other metals already. And so now all that's left is to request the rest of them, which looks like we're just missing a couple of things actually. This drawer right here is voiding excess, which doesn't really work with our setup because I'm trying to fill up both of these drawers. So yeah, I guess a little bit of time was wasted. I mean, that's whatever. It'll build up more eventually. The other thing we're missing is also these factory blocks. And that's just because the drawer is full. Don't worry, this thing is way faster than everything else. Make like half of the singularities, and then we'll wait for the drawer to buffer up again. It's super, super fast. Anyways, let me try and get one more of each of the metals. Oh no. Wait, crushed quartz? Oh yeah, our only source of this is literally from the sieves. About time to set in a pattern and forget about it. And I think actually that's all for the industrial chassis that we're gonna need. If we want 730,000 of these. Oh, okay, we actually have all the materials. We just need to actually start crafting it. But anyways, I'm gonna request the other metals and hopefully we shouldn't have any problems. Yeah, no, that went without a hiccup. It's just that our CPUs are not available. Okay, in that case, I'm just gonna add a couple CPUs here that are temporary. All right, now, of course, the last couple things that we need to do are the creative items, and I also have to deal with some more Lordcraft. Awesome. Let's start off with the creative mill. All of this stuff is super easy other than the irradiant star here, which is gonna need a bunch of shifting stars, and that's liquid starlight. Okay. So just a bunch of unstackable items. And I don't think I can really autocraft my way ahead of this one because of the stupid unstackable item. But I can use a portable tank to actually craft it. And let me double check also. Does it actually work properly? Oh my god, yes. That is so awesome. Okay, yeah, I'm really glad that works. Oh yeah, I'm also gonna have to think about upgrading it into the Armara irradiant star. And the problem with that is I have to attune a rock crystal, but I don't have the attunement altar set up anymore, which kind of sucks. I'm also hoping that Armara is out tonight so that I can actually do it. Oh yeah, it's right there. So yeah, no, I'll just have to rebuild the altar temporarily. I'll see you then. Cool, now we don't need this anymore. Anyways, let me continue doing this for a little bit and then we'll be right back. Oh yeah, by the way, we weren't getting enough starlight for the Armara craft, so I wanted to get a collector crystal to mitigate that. But it needs an attuned rock crystal. I don't have the attunement altar set up anymore, so I had to rebuild that again. But anyways, there's that now. Oh, there we go. There is the first one. Now to do that 63 more times. This is gonna take a while. Alright, so a little bit later, and I've crafted this many of the irradiant stars. This was incredibly boring, and I'm never doing that again. Well, actually, I kind of have to because I'm still not done. But who cares? I'm gonna craft the rest later. This will be at least enough to get started with. Anyways, I've already started collecting all the materials. Well, a couple of them at least. I'm still missing a little bit. So I'm gonna gather them up real quick. Shouldn't take too long, and then we'll be right back. Oh. And there you have it, the creative mill. Also, by the way, here's what I just learned. You can animate these. Since when? What? Also, that's a nice 10,000 GP. Next up is the creative compressor, which looks like it's gonna need a lot of PCBs. Yeah, that's really the only expensive part about this recipe. But I do have a plan. If we grab an unassembled PCB, or wait, no, this is the wrong thing. Hold up. Yeah, the empty PCB. All right, now without putting this in the light box, we throw it in, and we want this to fail. While that happens, I'll get the rest of the materials for the compressor. Ooh, and it looks like our failed PCB is ready. Now here's what we can do. Because our furnace doubles everything, Yeah, it spits out 2 PCBs. And now we do that again. So yeah, I'm sure you can see where this is going. We have effectively infinite PCBs. The wand of animation is the best thing to ever happen to me. Okay, but like the texture is bugged out for some reason. I'm gonna hope that I can still use this in the recipe. Alright, so if you look at the time, you might notice that it's been a while. And I've just been duping the PCBs a bunch. So now I should be able to get the 4 stacks of advanced PCBs. Oh, if only I had the plastic. Okay, there we go. That should be enough. And if you look at the recipe, that's literally all I'm missing. Oh yeah, and I need to also make some void sigils. That doesn't seem to be too bad. Also, one thing I want to double check here is if it actually gets consumed. Why are you not working? Is it really the flux compressors? I animated them because they require PCBs to craft. And yeah, there you have it, some creative compressors. I'll craft the rest later in between the clips, I guess. Anyways, now we move on to the everlasting guilty pool. All of the stuff in this list does not worry me at all. The only thing that's going to be kind of an issue is the runes of mana. Although I think I'm just going to farm the Gaia Guardian a bunch of times for that. It'll get us a bunch of other runes, which will probably help in the future. And it honestly might be faster. Though before I do that, I do want to invest in the Sword of the Cosmos. This can one-shot the Gaia, which is going to make him a whole lot easier to farm. It's just that the recipe looks like this, which is kind of insane. I don't really think there's anything that's gonna catch me off guard in these recipes. Yeah, no, honestly, this just looks like another grindy part that I'm gonna have to get through. So I guess I'll see you back in just a bit. Okay, and there you have it. That's the Staff of Power. Upgrade this straight into the Sword of the Cosmos. We can even combine it with an enhancement crystal to give it all these crazy enchants. Let's try it out on that guy. But now here's the real test. Goodbye. That was actually insane. Oh my goodness. Anyways, yeah, let me do this a bunch more times here until we have enough runes. And then we'll be right back. Here we are back, and I've killed the Gaia I don't know how many times now, yet we're only up to 48 runes of mana. I have a bunch of the other runes as well. Oh yeah, and a bunch of Gaia spirits. But it's just that the runes of mana are really, really rare for some reason. But anyways, this should be enough to start off with, because remember, I'm only aiming for 1 plank right now. Anyways, in between the cuts, I did craft the rest of the creative compressors. Now, if you look, we're only missing the creative mana pool, some wands of animation, and the runes of darkness. I'll start by getting an extra wand of animation, just because we've already seen this before. Oh, and remember, for these soul crystals, we actually already programmed the ender shard for the antlion overlord. So yeah, this is not going to be a problem at all, as long as we actually get the soul shards as a drop. Well, I guess it's not that big of a deal, because we still have some extra spawn eggs, and I'll swab him again. There we go. Okay, there we go. And I guess one last thing, since I'm already doing Lordcraft, I might as well get the Darkness runes. So for the billionth time this playthrough, we make the simpler runestone, upgrade it to Lordic, then Crystalline, craft these into the gate things, and we add obscure crystals to that. And now the very last thing that sits between us and the Chaos plank is just the Guilty pool. Alright, well now we just add all the garbage into the hoppers. Oh, and apparently the last item I'm missing is crystallized Claralium, which is actually easy enough. Okay, I probably should have had these going a while ago, but it's fine. A little more waiting couldn't hurt. Oh yeah, and we're also missing this Shimmer Rock, which is Bifrost, which is easy enough. Alright. Okay, now funnily enough, we didn't have enough pedestals for this. I had to add 2 more here. But yeah, there's the creative mana pool. Let me get as many as I can here. And now, finally, oh my goodness, if the recipe is correct, which it's not. Okay, I had to reconfigure everything, but I think this is right now. Oh my goodness, there we go. The Chaos plank. Wow, no quest for this? What? Oh man. I'm actually shocked I was able to get it this episode. Wow. This is insane. I don't really know how to react. This is kind of crazy. Well, one thing's for sure is that it's definitely going to be displayed. Yeah, look at that. That's awesome. Wait, that's a weird sound of it being placed down. What? Sounds like an anvil. And even though it's a plank, you actually break it with a pickaxe. This is a very unusual plank. Well, I think with that, we've more than achieved our goal for today. And it's definitely a great time to wrap up the episode. We're gonna come back next time to maybe, just maybe, wrap up the entire series, if I can actually get all the chaos planks by then. And I'm also thinking of posting a mod pack review a couple days after that. I have very many thoughts that I need to share about this pack that I couldn't really share in this series, so you can look forward to that a few days after the finale is out. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. We'll come back next time to do what I just said. For now though, have a great rest of your day.